Today I'm going to show you how to sew a really easy slouchy lounge beanie hat. The pattern comes in an array of sizes. I have a bundle that includes a newborn to children's size and another bundle that includes teen and adult sizes. The pattern pieces for this is down below. There is a link in the description box, and if you're watching from our website, alohasewingcompany.com, welcome and sew along. You can use any knit fabric that has at least a 50% stretch from left to right for this project. The actual hat pattern piece is going to be printed out, cut it out, and then you're going to fold your fabric like I have it here so that you have a fold. Then you're going to place your pattern piece right up to that fold line and trace all the way around it. I like to pin or clip it in place and put a couple of my pattern weights on top, but you don't have to do that. But when you're working with knit fabric, it can shift around a little bit, so I do suggest it. You will need to cut 2 of these for each beanie hat. I like to go ahead and trace one of them and then cut all the way around it into a rectangular type shape. And then I fold another piece of fabric that's about the same size as this, and I put it underneath that and cut it all out at the same time. If you have a decent pair of scissors, you should be able to do it that way to save some time on your cutting. Once you have both hat pieces cut out, you can see this is what it looks like when you open it up. But go ahead and leave it folded. See that notch at the very top? We're going to sew a straight line connecting those notch pieces, right diagonal across the top. Make sure you use about a 1/4 inch seam allowance for this entire beanie hat. Now we're going to do this for the front of the cap and on the back. Now go ahead and open one of them up. And you can go ahead and lay that so that it's right side up facing you. And then you're going to open up the other piece and lay it right side down right on top of that. I like to start by lining up the bottom of the beanie cap and pin or clip it in place. And then I like to go to the very top of the beanie hat and line up those 2 seams so that the whole hat is sewn nicely together. Then put a couple more pins or clips in place, take it to your sewing machine, and you're going to sew all the way around the sides and top of this beanie hat using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You are not going to sew across the bottom. I'm going to use my serger to sew this hat, but you can absolutely use a regular sewing machine, and you can round the top of this hat off if you don't like the bumps at the top. If you use a regular sewing machine, make sure you use a zigzag stitch or your machine's stretch stitch. Now let's make the band. This is the right side of my fabric, right here. This is the wrong side. I'm going to lay it with the right sides together, matching up the short raw edges, and then I'm going to serge, and you can also sew all the way down the short raw edge side. Here is mine serged. Now we are going to fold this up into a cuff. I do this by opening it up, and the first thing that I do is match up my seam top and the bottom together, and then I place a pin there or a clip. We're going to be marking this into quarters. You want 4 even parts marked on this and on your beanie hat, so that way it lays nice and symmetrical together when we're sewing it. So now get the exact opposite end of where you clipped, and then you're going to pin or clip that, and then you are going to match up those 2 pins or clips and get your 2 even side pieces and put pins or clips there as well. Now we have this quartered off into 4 even pieces. Now go ahead and grab your beanie hat and flip it right side out. The next thing you're going to do is get your left and your right seam, mash them together so that you find the center front and center back of your beanie hat. You can mark this with a marking tool. I like to just cut a super small slit right there to mark these placements, and just small enough to where I can see them and they won't show on the finished product. With those two markings and your two side seams, you have this part quartered off. Now get your band, and I like to match the side seam of the band with the side seam of the cap. So what you're going to do is, with the folded side of your band facing the top and the raw edges at the bottom, go ahead and lay it down on your surface, scrunch up the bottom of your hat, and put it right through the center of your band. Now we're going to match up all 4 quartered pieces of your hat with your band, starting with the side seam. So go ahead and match up that side seam with the side seam of your band and pin or clip that back in place. Then you're going to work your way around, pinning or clipping each of your 4 quartered pieces. Once you have that done, you'll notice that your beanie hat has more fabric than your actual band. That's the way this is supposed to be, because as you sew, we're going to stretch it just like this so that it's all nice and flush and your fabric won't be puckered on your finished product. You want the band a little bit smaller so that it stays nice and snug. Now take it to your machine and sew all the way around, and I'm going to show you how I do this. Starting at one of the side seams, go ahead and unclip or unpin one of your side seams and place it right under your machine needle. I go ahead and sew a few stitches to hold everything in place nicely. Then I grab my next pinned or clipped part, and then we go ahead and take that out, and then you're going to hold that with your finger and stretch your fabric just a little bit, making sure that all 3 layers are still staying nice and sandwiched together. All your raw edges should still be meeting as you stretch this. Just enough to where your fabric is no longer going to pucker. Once you get to where you are holding it with your finger, go ahead and stop, grab your next pin or clipped piece, and do the same thing until you're completely finished. Here's mine all sewn. I used a white thread so that you could see it on this video. Now you just need to fold your cuff down and you are completely finished sewing. The next thing you need to do is just make sure to go in and poke out all of your corners, all of your seams. You can steam it if you need to get any wrinkles out, but it is ready to go. This is a super quick and easy, fun project to make. It is great to put in donation bins for Operation Christmas Child boxes and things of that nature as well. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and have fun sewing along with me. Please, please, please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel to see all of our easy sewing patterns as they're released. Visit AlohaSewingCompany.com, or the link is down below in the description box on YouTube to see all of our super easy sewing patterns that you can print at home so you can start to sew faster. We make sewing patterns for literally everything, from baby items, kids' clothes, decorations, holiday stuff and gifts, bags and more. And before you go, mahalo.